Good evening, shalom. Welcome back again. I'm Makoti Tamor, impromptu live. We'll be joining Soldier in your life in just a minute here. He's already gone live. I see OC the Great has gone live. So I said, why not? I'll go live too. Um, as you all know, I was down in Clay County for the Othal Wallace trial. I was there to witness the I guess you could say, unlawful acts of this judge in his attempt to ensure that our brother served some type of jail time for self-defense. Judge um, did not want the public to know that, did not want the jury to know that you have a right to defend yourself from illegal acts of police officers. Um, Number one, when this first came out, I said on the live that, hey, what was the probable cause? Why was that officer on private property in a parking lot? Number two, why did that officer put his hands on Othal? That's assault. I said that from the start. I could see, and you all could see, you all seen the video, we've seen the video several times. At no point in time did uh, Othal Wallace engage in any criminal activity. And the prosecutor made it seem like the mere fact that he asked a question, what's going on, sir, that was um, an act of disobedience, because we're supposed to just kowtow, bow down to law enforcement whenever they ask us a question, whenever they prevent us from moving about. I also watched during this whole time since 2021 a lot of our people distance themselves from Othal Wallace because, oh, he killed a cop. All right. So we distance ourselves from our brother because we we actually see him defending himself against someone who basically assaulted him. What kind of message are we sending to our young people? What kind of message are we sending to our young people to have them believe that we cannot back someone or get behind them, stand behind them because they shot a cop in self defense? That is the purpose of self defense. It's self defense. So, are we going to be real with each other in this day and age, or are we still going to play games in this day and age? Because at this point in time, I'm saying if you all don't see this case as a wake up call for us to unite and put on a very strong front that says we're not going to be subject to your illegal law enforcement tactics, your illegal law enforcement tactics against our own persons. Like this cop officer Raynor, may the Most High have mercy on his soul, violated our brother's personal space, and that was not taken into consideration during the course of the trial, and definitely was not taken into consideration when the judge issued his jury instructions. And so, yes, continue to donate to Otha.org because we need to encourage our brother to appeal this ruling, this verdict. We need those attorneys to stand with our brother to help him navigate through the appeals court. Now, last week when I was on Soul Journey of Life's live, there was one Miss Elena Porter that said that she had a way for, Otho to receive some type of international recourse if he is found convicted. Well, the clock is ticking. The clock is ticking for all those who know how to navigate this system so that our brother can get justice. And for those of us who do not know how to navigate the system, we need to continue to support the legal defense fund so that those individuals will have the necessary funds to submit whatever kind of paperwork we need to submit for an appeal, if it be an appeal, or if it be filing the case in an international court. So I know that Soul Journey of Life is now live. I'm supposed to join him on his platform, so I'm just gonna go ahead and share my screen, and we're gonna take a listen to see listening on what he has going on and what part of his podcast he's in, just to get his take, because I'm always conscious of other people's feelings and other people's perspectives. We can't always be narrow minded, as some of us were in the beginning of this whole situation. I.e., oh, he shot a cop, man. I can't be bothered with that, man. Without even knowing what the situation was, without doing your own investigation, without just believing in the brother who believed in us, who stood up for us. Now, was he targeted? A lot of people are saying perhaps he was targeted. And that's very unfortunate that we can live in this country and where a lot of us are walking around here saying that we're free. And as you can see, we're not free. We're still not considered as human. We're still being labeled as minority while other nations of people are being labeled as Americans. So if y'all want to stand up and fight for their legal justice and participate in their political system, knowing that you're spoils of war, you're political prisoners, here captive on this land, then y'all go right ahead. But I tell you what, if we do not stand up and rally around this one case, we're going to see multiple instances where individuals stand up for their own individual human right, and it's going to be taken away from them in their courts of law. We can continue to participate in their political system if we want to our demise. Sure, you live in this country. Sure, you work in this country. But you can damn sure wield your political power by not even participating. They're depending on you all to vote and to keep their political system going. If it's not, if the so-called blacks, African Americans do not participate in their their political system falls apart. Do you understand what I'm saying? You pay your taxes into the system, and then you go into the court of law, the very same court of law in which your taxes are helping to fund, and you're not giving full justice. You're not giving full justice. So when we gonna stop? When at what point are we gonna say no? We're not doing this no more. This should be a rally call. This should be a rally call. The brother did not cop a plea. He stood his ground. So when are we going to stop playing games with each other and stand our ground? So we're gonna listen into a little bit of Soul Journey of Life, and then I'm gonna switch to OC the Great. And then at, I believe it's at 8 o'clock, to Harka Bay with Moore's World TV. It's supposed to be exposing some type of truth or exposing some type of fraud in respects to our brother's case. And I'm asking myself, wait a minute. I didn't see Moore's World TV or Tahaka Bay go live one time and say, hey, I'm encouraging everybody to donate to Othal.org. I didn't see that happen. Not one time. I didn't see that happen. And so tonight, this is going to be where Okoti just call them out. And I'm going to shout you out. Call them out, shout them out. Shout them out, call them out. Those who are standing righteous with our brother, that's shout out. Those who are trying to do some wicked, nefarious things in this day and age, I'm calling you out. Because if we continue to believe that our voices don't matter as a collective and we don't operate and move as a collective, we will perish. It's really time to stop playing games, especially when it comes down to our people. So I'm gonna go ahead and listen into what Sojourner Life is talking. I see he has a guest on his platform. So let's take a listen on this.
On who his peers were in that jury. Some things that just didn't make sense as to what they were trying to accomplish and doing and proving, which was obviously not what they were. Not they didn't prove anything.
Would you say that a lot of information that would have been in the interest, a lot of facts that would have been in the interest of Brother O were prevented from being allowed into the case, especially even when it came to the matter of the deliberations? It seemed to me that a lot of things were rejected from being allowed for them. I say that because had they had that kind of information, it affects how you make your decisions. It affects how you think.
Right.
Because you may not. I mean, I'm not sure how many people sleight of hand is, right? Sleight of hand is you move one hand while something else is happening, and that can happen in wordplay,
right?
Where you're thinking this is telling you to operate or function or do things one way, when reality, when you click accept, so to speak, something else is now taking effect.
Indeed.
And I wonder how many juries are thinking like, wait a minute, that's not quite what I thought was going to happen.
Right. Well, they speak a different language in these courtrooms, brother.
Yeah.
Legalese.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're not, too keen on these certain words and knowing the true definition meanings of these words that they're using in a legal manner, in a legal context, then we will be lost. We've always been lost in the system because it wasn't meant for us to know this system.
Yes.
It was for us to benefit from this system.
Okay? One person I want to give a quick shout out to, because I've been seeing some individuals who've been, solid boots on the ground in the situation, and I have to give a shout out to like Brother Ken, Sister Koti. These are just some of the names. Sister Yaya. These are some of the names that have been like in my face when it comes to seeing people who are right there on the ground level. Many of us since day one. You understand? If you think about all that we had to battle through just to show our support, all the shenanigans, all the riff raff, all of that, just to show our support. So there's a lot of heart and soul in this. A lot of heart and soul. Now, I'm going to say some of my esoterical comments until after this. I'm going to try to my hardest. But the thing I'm trying to get us to identify with, because it seems like we keep running into the same trouble of trying to reason soulfully with one that is soulless. You understand?
Oh, yes.
So, and the best way I can try to explain this, while I like both of these animals, I like the tiger, I like the lion, but I'm trying to use this as a similitude. The lion is not like the tiger, even though they're both feline. They're two completely different species with two completely different methods of operating. The tiger is a soloist. The lion lives in a pride. You don't see a lion that's all by himself. He's probably going to die sometime soon if he doesn't find himself a pride to hang with.
Absolutely. And reproduce.
So similarly, there's another animal. I read a book when I was a little called Frog and Toad. You ever seen a frog and a toad? They're both amphibians, but they're two completely different kinds of amphibians. Their habitats are different. I'm saying this because we've got to somehow find it in our mind that this species of being is not the same species, and therefore does not have the same, is not equipped with the same nature as those whose who were, when they were created from the beginning, were breathed into by the divine breath. And it makes all the difference. It makes all the difference. This is why, see, let me explain. There are animals who have mastered being able to imitate other animals for their survival. There's an animal that acts just like a bee, but it doesn't even have a stinger. But because you look at it and you think it might be a bee, you leave them alone because you don't want to get stung, right? So it learned, like, oh man, if I behave like a bee, it leave me alone. You understand? There's even one animal that'll lay its eggs in the nest of another bird, and the other chicks are looking like, you don't look like us, but okay. But he does this. What he does is he takes, because he's a little bit stronger than the birds that are actually belong in the nest, he eats their food and kicks them up out of the nest, so that the foreign bird feeds him instead of the actual birds that should have been fed.
Right.
That's a similar. That nature sounds so similar to the experiences many of us have been having in this land.
And
so go ahead.
Describing is exactly how these people been functioning since their creation.
I'm looking. Let's see here. I'm looking at the commentary here.
Oh, okay.
One moment.
Sure.
Oh, the sister was talking about Elena. Sister Elena had some commentary about international court systems.
Right.
Hopefully, she'll be able to come up and break bread on that. But what you were saying something. I didn't mean to cut you off with the train of thought.
Okay, that's all right. Yeah, like I was saying, what you describing is something. You're describing people in which that has been their functionality from their creation. You know what I mean? They blend. They come amongst a people. They hold out a friendly hand, but they have in their backside.
And that's the point I was trying to make with animals that imitate other animals for their advantage, because this is the thing that's fooled many of us as we've been in this, and we've been fooled into believing in it, so that we think that, hey, see, they're just like us. We can all get along. They just get to honoring us last week, and next thing you know, we think everything's cool because they decided to play basketball with us. Now everything is cool. You got been slaughtering us last week. Now we're playing ball. It was just a bad situation. That was just an exception to the rule. Everybody's not like that. No, it's just, when you're not a lion, you understand? You don't have the ability, the instincts, the nature of a lion. No matter how hard you try to imitate a lion. This is why we find ourselves, we get impressed when we see one of them. I'm going to tell you, this is something that's interesting that I've noticed. We're impressed when we see them rap like us or dance like us. Why do you think we get so impressed? Because we know that's not natural to them. You can see, I can see that you really can't do it the way we do it, but I like to see you do it because it looks interesting. It's an anomaly.
Right.
You understand? Because we know that you ain't really got no soul up in you.
And it's almost like a flattery to us.
Yeah.
To see other cultures. Like
that part, yeah.
Asians, you know what I mean? Break dancing and pop locking, and you know what I mean? But it shows how they adore us.
Yes.
Right? But they realize that we still haven't established ourselves as a leader of ourselves.
Yes, indeed. I want to see Sister Elena. She's here right now. See what she's willing to chime in. We're bringing her in right now. Peace and blessings, dear sister. Let's see here. I think your mic is off. You gotta. Yeah.
Greetings, brother. How are you?
I'm doing well. Welcome back. Welcome forward.
Thank you for having me. I saw Sister Cody in the chat, and she asked, "Well, how can we help Brother Ozone?" Each treaty body as a quasi-judicial commission that you can file a complaint or a commission where you can file a petition. For example, in the Inter-American Court System, which is our regional court located in Costa Rica, we could petition the court to look at that case or to look at the racism that was involved in the case. Look at the fact that if we feel like Brother Ozone didn't get a fair trial, we can bring that to that particular court's attention.
That's in Costa Rica?
That's that court, the Inter-American Court is located in Costa Rica, but your petition file that you file would start with the Inter-American Commission up in Washington, D.C. That's avenue. We have treaty bodies such as the ICER Convention that deals with racism. You have the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. All of these different treaty bodies in regional courts have a way that you could file a complaint or a petition, and anybody could file it on Brother Ozone's behalf.
As an individual, or would it be like a collective, and then somebody who's representing us send it in?
It can be a collective, or it could be an individual. Preferably, it should be people who is on his legal team that he chose.
Right. Like
That's
a POA or somebody like that?
Yes, it should be those people.
Because they have to have
an avenue that they should consider.
You're saying it has to be one of them because it has to be someone that's like directly involved with his case?
Yes, it should be someone who's directly involved with his case and who has his.
So that means that we'd have to. I mean, I'm not sure how to go about it, but that means that
it's an avenue.
Yeah, but I'm wondering if the POA, is like aware of that avenue.
Well, they should be. I mean, it's an avenue that's available, and it's something to consider. Like I said, it's not the end all be all. Our issues such as Brother Ozone should be always taken to another jurisdiction because of the crimes against humanity, the extreme racism that has occurred and still occurs against our population. We have to get out of the mode of always trying to fight in the same on the same playing field. We have to, go take it to another field sometimes, or go to another theater. The courts here in the United States are not favorable to us because the entire story about our population is not being told, especially how we've been treated in policing, the corrections, the criminal justice system. We're not treated fairly because of the fact we are what I call and what we have been called a internal colony. We are and in some areas we've been called a belligerent population.
Right.
So we never get a fair shake in this court system. Now I feel like I'm happy because that death penalty was taken off our brother. I want to give props to that, and I want to give props to that attorney. That attorney did his job on that one to get that death sentence off our brother. So we have to commend that attorney for that. However, Brother Ozone's story was not completely told in that court.
Right.
Yep. And it will never be told in that court because we don't have laws to handle that particular issue that started. Brother Ozone's issue didn't start when that policeman walked up to him.
Right.
There was a pretext there, an unspoken pretext there that was never addressed in that court. And it will never be addressed in that court.
Right.
So
that's what I was saying.
We need another pair of eyes on what happened with Brother Ozone, and even taking in consideration of the heated racial climate of that time.
Right.
I didn't hear
Sister,
much on that.
Sister in the chat, Sister Cody's is asking. She says, "I'm asking, can you reach out to them to get the ball rolling?" I think she's referring to the immediate circle, legal circle team or whatnot of Brother O, like the POA. I think, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. This is, I believe, you said you know how.
I reach out to them.
Yeah, I think that's what she's
I don't even know who his legal team is. I know I have given Sister Cody some information before, and I've even shared with her. I believe I gave her some information of where he could write to of different treaty bodies and stuff like that. I believe I've already done it. I
have you spoken with Brother Ken?
No.
Have you spoken, Brother? That's. I think that would be a good person to reach out to, because he may know something as well as far as how to contact POA and things of that nature.
Well, anybody can write on his behalf. Anybody could bring this to any treaty bodies. But
I think she's asking you specifically because of the know-how. Because the thing is, I've had, I've talked with people about certain things, and it always amazes me how many people, even in my community here, don't know. Not only don't they know what's going on, like who is Ozone, who's Ozone, but they don't know some of the. I mean, it's like many people, when something happens, they immediately surrender to the default because they don't know anything outside of.
Well, see, that's why I set up the Pendo Center. I set that particular institute up for a reason, just for cases like Brother Ozone. And what I've been doing, in the chat. Yeah, and what I've been doing is trying to build capacity and build awareness, so our people wouldn't have to get out and beg other people to do it. It could be a family member, it could be a friend. This information needs to be out there where anybody have a problem. You may not be able to afford an attorney, but you know how to read, you know how to write, and you can advocate for your family members and your friends. When the court system fails us, we have other avenues that we can go through, and that's what international and human rights law allows us to do. It allows us to advocate on a totally different playing field and on a totally different level, and anybody can do it. It's just learning what the laws are and what rules apply and submitting a petition. And with that, I yield the floor.
So the question is now being asked: is the Pendo Center taking Ozone's case?
No.
Okay.
Was it even offered? That should be the main question.
Mm-hmm.
Were you even contacted to even take?
No. No.
There it is.
No, I was not offered. I was not contacted. Right. And I didn't. There was so much hoopla going on at the beginning, so much infighting about money or whatever have you. I didn't involve myself in it because I think people got lost in the sauce of the, clout chasing and arguing over money and this, that, and the third. And Brother Ozone's case really got lost at that time, and I didn't want to involve myself nor my organization with that.
Okay.
Now, Sister Lady, one thing you said earlier, just a second ago, is that you have his lawyers should know these things.
Yes, his lawyers are the one who's been paid. His attorneys should be the ones who advocate for him on that international level. They have all of the information, all of it. And the buck should not stop with just removing the death penalty from this brother.
No, the only
and
one
sparing
thing,
his life. The bottom line is those attorneys know that there was something to that pretext.
Right.
Those attorneys also know that there are limitations domestically. But those attorneys who has been paid should be willing to look at some different international laws that can possibly either reduce that sentence, reduce the charge, or free him altogether. Because there was a bigger picture. When you take in consideration the climate, the pretext, and everything else, this case is really not over.
Give me a moment, dear sister. I want to welcome another sister, Akoti, to the panel. She has just arrived. Let's see. Shalom, dear sister Akoti. How are you doing?
Shalom,
Your
Questman.
mic is off.
Can you hear me now?
The one thing I would have to point out as to these lawyers that he has is that they come from a different persuasion of people as well, and
Well,
they not
no,
want to give him these pathways in which he can be released.
yeah, I agree, because it seemed to me when I was listening that there were certain things they were intentionally trying to leave out of the case parameter, almost as if they were deliberately trying to not tie it to around, so to speak, meaning the like I said before, the environment that many in the United States have been dealing with. If you're melanated, if you're black, you understand, that perspective would have, made all kinds of sense when it comes to justifying how a black man might respond to the approach of an aggressive officer who you don't know what he's going to do next.
One thing I just say, Ozone brought that up himself.
Yeah.
How he was, because of everything going on at the time. I heard him mention that several times, but for some reason his lawyer didn't go and delve into that and how that made him feel. It just wasn't, to me, it wasn't enough of, the circumstances that was going on at the time and how that played a part in the role of why so animated about his words on social media.
Yeah, I agree.
Shalom. Can you hear me?
Sister Akoti, your mic is still off. I'm not sure if you were
Shalom, can you hear me now?
aware of that or not, but it is off.
Can you hear me now? Shalom. Can you hear
Shalom.
me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Shalom, sis.
All right, y'all. So Shalom, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right, so what we have
sis.
here is, all right, y'all. So you all were not privy to the sidebars and the several times that the judge had to excuse
what we have here is
when Ozone's defense attorneys were bringing up the exact things that you all are mentioning right now. It was the judge who tied
several
the
times that the
defense
judge had to excuse the
It was
jury
certain things that they could not
Ozone's
even
defense attorneys
mention
were bringing
throughout
up the
the
exact
course,
things that
because
you
if
all are
they were,
mentioning right
if
now.
those things
It was
such
the
as self-defense
judge who
and
tied
consensual
the
stop
defense's
was mentioned,
hands. It was
Right.
certain
and
things that
that
they
would
could not
taint
even mention
and put a
throughout the
cloud
course,
over
because if
the
those
prosecutor's case.
things such as
And the
self-defense
judge was in
and consensual
cahoots. It
stop
appears that he
was
was
mentioned,
biased towards the
then that would
prosecutors
taint
because, and I say that
and
because
put a
the
cloud
jury
over
instructions
the
did
prosecutor's
not
case,
include a
and the
definition
judge
for
was
consensual stop.
in
The
cahoots. It
jury
appears that he's
instructions did
biased
not
towards the
include a definition of
prosecutors, because, and I
self-defense.
say
The
that
jury
because
instructions did
the
not
jury instructions
point
did
to the
not
fact that when
include a
a
definition for
police officer,
consensual
law
stop.
enforcement
The
officer
jury
detain you
instructions did not include a definition of
illegally,
self-defense. The jury
that you have a right to
instructions did
defend
not
yourself. That was
point to the fact that
purposely
when
not
a police
given
officer
to
or
the
law
jury
enforcement
for consideration,
officer
and
detain
therefore there
you
was no option for a complete
illegally,
acquittal. It
that
was
you have
basically you're
right
going
to defend yourself.
to
That
rule
was
degree
purposely
premeditated,
not
first degree felony, or the lesser charge of manslaughter.
therefore for a
Full
complete
complete acquittal was not
was
even in
basically free or
on
first
all
degree felony
charges based
or
on
lesser charge of
self-defense,
manslaughter.
a human right.
Full
You have a
complete
right to
acquittal was
defend
not
yourself.
even
And
in the
so
jury
that's
instructions.
where
So he couldn't say
we are not,
he's
that's what we're not
acquitted on all
understanding, that the
charges.
judge and it's his court
Based on self-defense,
gives
our human
instructions
right
to
to
the
have a right
jury to
defend
deliberate
yourself.
on,
And
and
so
they have to come up with a
that's
verdict
where
within those
we
parameters. And
are not,
acquittal
that's
was not
understanding
on
that
the
the
table.
judge and it's his court gives instructions to the jury to deliberate on, and they have to come up with a verdict within those parameters, and acquittal was not on the table.
You know, in addition to that, sister, it seemed to me like, especially during the deliberation time, that the judge was working overtime to belittle the meaning of self-defense, like box it into like a very narrow scope of what that means, like what it means to, you know, when you're approached by an officer who, you know, you're in a state of fear for your life. It just seemed like they were really working hard to make it like almost meaningless. Like either you tuck your tail or that's it.
Comply.
Well, and that's
Right.
what
Questions
basically
asked.
that's what they wanted us to believe that the law was. But to the credit
I mean, but
of
there,
Well,
sister,
and that's what they wanted us to believe that the law was. But to the credit
of the defense, they actually tried on several occasions they filed they what do you call it,
to the credit of the defense,
they
they
tried to
they actually tried on
stop,
several
judge, that's not
occasions
the law. The law
to they
states that you
filed
have a right to walk away.
what do you call it?
The law states that you have a right to
They
defend yourself
they tried
when
to
a law enforcement officer is
say,
not
hey, stop, judge, that's
acting
not the law.
behaving in his
The law
legal
states that you
capacity.
have a right to walk away.
That was an illegal stop,
The law
and
states
that was
that you
also
have
assault.
a right to defend yourself
What the
when
judge
a law
said and
enforcement
what the
officer is
prosecutor
not
said was that
acting and
you have a
behaving in
recourse.
his legal
If a
capacity.
police
That was an
officer is
illegal stop,
committing
and that was also assault.
violating your rights, you
What
go along
the
and do
judge
whatever
said and
they
what the
do,
prosecutor
and then
said
you'll
was
have
that
your day in court.
you have a recourse.
And
If a
that,
police
my friends, is what
officer
we're
is committing
facing.
a
Not that the defense
violating
did
your
not
rights,
properly
you go
represent
along and do
our
whatever
brother
they say
O in his
do,
stance
and
of
then you'll have your day in
self-defense.
court.
It's the judge that denied
And that, my friends, is what we're
those
facing.
rights. And so
Not that the
therein
defense
lies
did
where the
not
appeal
properly
comes in,
represent our brother O and
because of
his
the
stance
several
of
illegalities
self-defense.
that
It's the
the
judge that
judge
denies him
committed
those rights.
and not
And so
giving the
therein
jury the
lies
proper instruction.
where the appeal
That's
comes
how
in,
you go to the
because
appeal
of the
process.
several
But I jumped
illegalities
from the
that
live
the
because,
judge
you
committed.
know,
Right.
Sister
And
Elena
not
and I
giving
had
the
a
jury
conversation
the proper
when this
instructions.
matter
That's
first came
how you
about,
go to the
when
appeals
Ozone was
process.
first
But I
accused
jumped
of these
on the live
charges.
because,
And
you know,
I said
Sister
then, and
Elena and
I
I
still say
had a
now,
conversation when
anyone can file
this
on his
matter first
behalf
came about,
with his
when
permission, of course.
Ozone
Then
was
I would
first
think that
accused of
it would be the
these charges.
individuals that actually know how
And
to do
I
it. If
said then, I
anyone
still
can
say
do it,
now,
so
if
let's go
anyone can file
put
on his behalf with his
I guess our
permission, of
flesh
course, then I
to the
would think
side
that
and
it
walk in the
would be the
spirit
individuals that
of
actually
righteousness,
know
the
how to
spirit of justice,
do it, if
and get
anyone
this
can
done.
do it.
If
So
it could
let's
have been
go
done
and
way
put
we could have
our,
filed this petition
I
way
guess, our
in
flesh
2021,
to the
it should have been
side and
done
walk
by
in the
those who
spirit
actually
of
know how
righteousness
to do it.
and the spirit of justice, and get this done. If it could have been done way, we could have filed this petition way in 2021, it should have been done by those who actually know how to do it.
okay. Sister Elena, are you able to hear with us, Sister Okotie?
Yes, I am. And I'm going to put it this way. Our brother was facing the death penalty. And to put that, and he did not have adequate legal representation. And there was so much going on with that representation. Now, had something been filed on his behalf earlier, it could have hurt it, or it could have helped. But that would have been a very big risk, considering he did not have domestic legal representation at the time. So at that time, I did not have the resources to pull all the information that I needed, because I don't like going off just what the media says. I like doing Freedom of Information Acts, pulling all information from all four corners, and there's still something in the back of my mind, that could have established a pretext. But looking at his case at the beginning, it would have been a very big challenge. And for me, I didn't have the capacity to do those things. Now, again, it would have been, pro bono. It would have been pro bono. No, what I'm saying, his issue is in a domestic court, and had it been filed, something been filed on an international level, nobody probably would have taken his case, and that probably could have hurt him. And you got to remember, he had a death penalty case. Now that's removed, so something possible can.
I think I understand what you're saying, because you're basically saying that any type of external intervention during the proceedings could have went against him and been used as a weapon to, press forward on a murder conviction.
If I may,
Is that what you're
if
saying?
I may say something.
Yes.
And so now that the
Yes.
verdict is in and the charges have been brought to manslaughter.
If I may say something.
Those attorneys were actually death penalty attorneys, and they work in criminal law. That's their specialty. What we would have needed is a human rights attorney to work side by side.
Those attorneys were actually death penalty attorneys, and they work in criminal law.
It could have been done
That's
at
their
the same
specialty.
time. What we needed was a human rights attorney to work
side by
with
side
his attorneys
with his criminal
that
attorneys
specialize in
at the same time.
criminal law.
It could have been done at the
It's
same
almost
time.
like you can't cross
What we
crafts,
needed was a
right?
human
When
rights
Malik
attorney
Shabazz
to
went
work
down there when
with
Othal was
his
first
attorneys
arrested,
that
he was going down
specialize
there on
in
Othul's
criminal
behalf,
law.
but he's a
It's
civil
almost
rights attorney.
like you can't cross
So he
crafts.
had no
Like, right,
jurisdiction to
when
even
Malik
come
Shabazz went
and
down
help
there when
him. We had to
Othal was
find
first
criminal
arrested, he
attorneys.
was going down
But at
there
the same
on
time,
our
I
brother's
did
behalf, but
mention
he's a
to
civil
Mr.
rights attorney.
Remy, when he
So
was
he had no
involved in
jurisdiction
talking to
to
Ozone,
even come
that he
and
needed
help him.
a
We
human
had to
rights
find
attorney.
criminal attorneys.
And
But
I
at the
don't think
same
that
time,
brother had his best
I
interest
did mention
in
to
mind at that time. And
Mr. Remy,
as
when he
time
was
went on, we
involved
all
in talking
saw that he really
to
didn't.
Ozone,
So
that
I'm not
he
quite
needed
sure if
a
he
human
actually
rights
even proposed
attorney.
that to our
And I
brothers,
don't
but
think
his
that brother had
response
his
that he
best
said
interest in
Ozone
mind
gave
at
us
that
was
time, and
that
as
he didn't want to
as
go
time
that
went
route.
on, we all saw that
But
he
I
really
know
didn't.
for a
So
fact,
I'm not quite sure
history
if he
has proven
actually
that human
even
rights
proposed that
attorneys
to
work
our brothers,
along
but
with
his
criminal
response that
attorneys
he said
when
Ozone gave
someone
us
is
was
facing
that
criminal
he didn't want
charges.
to go that route.
And so I
But
say
I know
again,
for a fact, and history has
the
proven
verdict
that
is
human
in.
rights attorneys work
How do
along
we
with criminal
move forward?
attorneys
How
when
do
someone is
we
facing criminal
get
charges.
that petition together?
And so I
What
say
other
again,
resources do you need to put that
the verdict
petition
is in.
together, other
How
than
do we move
those
forward?
criminal attorneys
How do
acting
we
outside of their
get that petition together?
specialization?
What other
Do you
resources do
know
you
of
need
any
to put
human rights
that
attorney
petition
that
together?
would be
Other
And I
than
want to
willing to look at
add to
this
that.
those
and
criminal
perhaps
attorneys
if
acting
we could
outside of their
basically
specialization.
explain to the
Yeah.
people
Do you
I want-
know of any
what it
human
is,
rights
what it means
attorneys
to go
that
before the
would be
international courts?
willing
Then
to
maybe
look
we
at this case
can
and
get those funds
perhaps we
to
can,
move that
if we
petition
could
forward at the
basically
same time
explain to
working
the
on our brother's
people
appeal.
what it is, what it means to go before the international courts? Then maybe we can get those funds to move that petition forward at the same time working on our brother's appeal.
Right. And I wanted to add that being that there's the appeal is the next step in this, wouldn't this be fertile ground for international involvement?
I think we would need a seasoned international attorney who would be willing to take his case. They can take it through the Inter-American Court or a petition or a complaint or something can be filed with the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. And Sister Cody basically just laid a defense for the brother. Did he have a fair trial based on what she said? She was there? No. According to international law, because some things were omitted. Everybody has the right to defend themselves. Everybody has the right to be free of discrimination, unreasonable search and seizure. So, yes, he needs an international lawyer.
And so that brings me to this question, because I think this is the element that I'm hearing. I think even the sister Cody is trying to get at is who is the one to endeavor, to bring this about. Because if the process thus far is heading towards an appeal, who is the actor? You understand? Who is the actor that will bring about pushing this to the international community? Who's the expert? Is what I'm asking. Because as you mentioned, I believe it was you that mentioned that the representatives of Ozone will have to be contacted, and I think that would be like the person that has the title POA. So who is the internet?
See, this is the thing that we have to stop. We have to stop with the saying, okay, this is how you do it, but not no one is willing to go ahead and do it. That's what we have to stop. If you know how, if anybody can do it, then let's just do it, and let's not keep passing the buck. So, shouts out to the Pendo Center. Thank the Most High for the Pendo Center. But they have the organization to do exactly what the sister is saying to do. Anyone can file on his behalf that knows how to do it. And if that's a Pendo Center for Human Rights, then do we have any human rights attorneys on staff? That may be the problem as to why the message can't get out to the masses, because we have not found an individual that will work with us and for us on our behalf. And that's just the bottom line. That's where it is. The buck stopped with us, with those that know how. Point blank and period. That's what I'm saying.
Pushing this to the international community
In it. So
let
he
me
would
ask you
need
this then.
a professional to do it. A seasoned
With that in
lawyer
mind,
who has the resources to pull that information.
Right. With that in mind, if we were able to, have a discussion, for example, I know Brother Ken is more in the loop in the situation than So what I would ask is, if we were able to communicate, or if you're able to reach out to Brother Ken, would you be willing to help aid in finding or resourcing said professional, in this particular matter? Would you be willing to do that?
I would look for an attorney for him. I would start looking for an attorney that could probably take his case.
Because I would like to be able to. I have to talk to the brother about it. Contact Ken, and see if you guys could. The two are able to network and figure out what has to be figured out to get things done. Because I think if ever there was a better time, it would be now, before the appeal process starts to get the ball rolling and whatnot for that. Because that might open some doors that nobody even saw, because now this international professional is on board. So
exactly.
I think
there are other international organizations that we can look at that actually assist with cases like human rights. There are different organizations, human rights organizations, that maybe Brother Ken can speak to say, hey, there's some other elements that was not even brought to the surface in this case. Right. These elements can be brought in the international arena. What lawyers do you have? And we are limited in resources that will be willing to take the case. You just got to hit the ground running.
Now you mentioned that Malik Shabazz being a civil rights attorney, right? With their
Sister Cody mentioned Brother Shabazz. I didn't
Sister
mention
Cody
him.
mentioned that. Yeah, my apologies. Sister Cody mentioned about Malik Shabazz going down there as a civil attorney. What would make this a civil, or what would tie this into being civil related? Because we were talking earlier about the environment of the time that this experience was even happening to Brother O, and it smacks of being caught up into a racist atmosphere. You understand? But how could these be tied together or seen together to make a cohesive whole?
Well, from the outside, and you're taking in consideration of a lot of elements, but the hostile climate that we were in 2020. I hadn't seen any of his paperwork, hadn't did any research on the case. I'm just speaking off the top of my head. What I'm thinking Brother Malik was looking at, and I haven't spoken with him about anything of this nature, but I'm just trying to put myself in his shoes. I'm thinking race was the element that guided him as a civil rights attorney to try to assist this brother. That's what guided Brother Malik. That's what I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm. And so something out of that, Sister Cody mentioned that that was out of his jurisdiction. But I mean, if race was involved in this, I mean, I'm just trying to, because I wish I don't have the type of legal expertise or whatnot. I just know like surface level things about it. But I'm thinking he goes down there to kind of pitch in to be involved, but only to get that this isn't his jurisdiction. But if race is involved, why not? Why isn't it his jurisdiction? If this was
hold on. Let me explain something to you. You got to look at the big scenario, the whole entire scenario. A crime, quote unquote, domestically was committed. This brother was thinking, okay, he was looking at what was the pretext. Now, I'm not speaking for him. I'm just trying to put myself in his shoes. I'm thinking he's saying, okay, what was the pretext? Would he have done this to anyone else? Would he approach anyone else like that? Now, I don't know all the facts. Having paperwork in front of me, don't have police reports, none of that intimate information that would even allow me really to speak and try to put myself in Brother Malik's shoes to see why would he go down there. I'm thinking he was looking at how many times most black men get stopped or approached, unlawfully searched. Stop.
Well, they were trying to. They were basically trying to. They were trying to frame him out to be kind of like this was a premeditated. Like this was something.
I think the question.
Go ahead.
I think the question would more likely be: did Brother Shabazz approach Brother Ozone to actually file a civil suit on his behalf? We cannot continue to think that you can't have several suits going on at the same time. We have to get out of that mind frame that we can't walk and chew gum at the same time. So at the same time, we had the criminal case going on. We could have also had the civil suit going on. We could also had the international suit going on. So yeah, we need to learn how to come together and stop waiting on that paycheck and do what we can do when we can do it, and at the time that it is righteous to do it. So with that being said, like I said, this is so after the point kind of conversation. So I'm like this: what are we gonna do right now on all those fronts, whether it be civil suit or whether it be in the international courts? I'm looking for solutions.
I have a suggestion. One, I mentioned just a minute ago, I believe that because from what I can observe, that Brother Ken is more, well, he's more in the know as far as the legal team is concerned. And I believe that he would be, probably our best person to have as a part of this type of conversation. And as I asked the sister, Sister Elena, if she'd be willing to communicate, with him, basically break bread in order to basically pursue the, finding an international, some international representation. You understand? I think that would be a conversation that she and Ken would have to have in order to sort out what's what and how's how.
But I will say this, and many people might not agree. I say let the sentencing phase run its course, and then start making those decisions and those strategies along with Brother Ozone.
You're talking about for the appeal?
For the appeal and going to the international treaty bodies. I think that's something that he should be involved with, even after everything is over with the sentencing. He needs to be informed. He needs to be the person aware, and ultimately, he needs to be one to make the decision about the strategy that he wants to use to advocate for himself.
But he has to be aware of it, right?
That's right. Someone needs to share that with him.
And that's why I'm saying, if you
I was under the impression someone did share it with him, and that wasn't a route that he wanted to take at the time.
Sometimes things, can change people's mind rapidly. And I'm thinking that if you guys would sit with Brother Ken,
like I said before, it was supposed to be
it was supposed to be a case of our brother Remy talking to him and telling him that he had that option. But I say I don't think that was really
our brother Remy talking to
told to him in a proper fashion.
He had that option, but I say
yeah.
I don't think that was really told to him in a proper fashion.
And I don't think
that was a damaging situation, that moment. And I'm actually glad that it was.
And I don't think that we should. I'm sorry, brother.
Go ahead. I'm just saying simply that that was the moment that was critical. But I'm glad that we were back, and, still able to continue short for Brother O's case. I just wish, a situation like that, could make all the difference for timing, for what kind of information is pushed forward at critical timing. You understand?
And that's why it's so important.
I think a lot of time, important time had been lost during that experience.
And that's why it's so important.
It's so important that we not wait until after sentencing to start even considering or bringing to
it's
him.
So important that we not wait.
Bringing to him this plan or action or this option of action.
Considering or bringing to
we
him.
Can actually
we bring to him this plan or action or this option of action.
If this is an option, how can we put that to Brother O and then have the plan of action in place
to say, okay, so if this is an option,
the thing is, he's gonna be sentenced. We just don't know what happens here, right?
And then have
so
why we
action in place? Why would we wait till
when sentencing occurs? Because the thing is, he's going to be sentenced. We just don't know what happens in years, right? So why are we waiting? Why would we wait till the sentencing to put our ducks in a row and start moving? That's what happened in 2021.
It was started
actually in 2022 when the Ozone,
and here it is. We're almost
legal defense fund was put up. It had been
and we still
up until it was started, I believe, in January 2022. And here it is. We're almost January 2024, and we're still talking about what a plan might look like. So no, we shouldn't wait. For those of us who know how to do this, I think that we should take immediate action and start putting our brains together, our heads together, and writing have a plan so that when citizen is
because
passed
those things do
down, if
take
the
time. So
attorneys
while
feel
we're waiting on
like, okay,
sentencing,
we need to
start
wait,
going
at
ahead
least
and
we'll have
gathering those resources and apply together so that
because
we can
those
say,
things
okay,
do
bam,
take
now we
time. So
follow
while
this
we're
and we
waiting on
follow this,
sentences, we can
and
start
that's how that
going
goes.
ahead and
We
gathering
do
those
things
resources and
simultaneously.
putting a plan together so that we
We
can
got
say,
to
okay,
start,
bam, you
we got to
citizen of
start
this, now
being
we follow
proactive
this and we follow this,
and not
and that's how
reactive.
that goes. We do things simultaneously. Now we got to start being proactive and not reactive.
Sister Elena, I'm looking at some of the. You sent some articles. That's for Sister Koti there. Okay.
The argument that you just shared, you said that he didn't have a fair trial. The trial is over. They're getting ready to sentence him. So the sentencing is going to correspond with the trial. You let it run its course, then you file the documentation, or then you start that fight. I think it's a little bit late in the game, when he's getting ready to be sentenced to start filing things. I say let it run its course domestically, because one thing about international law, you have to exhaust all domestic remedy. Then you take it to that next level. So from my position, based on my knowledge base of what I know, dealing with international and human rights law, I will let the sentencing run its course, then start advocating, and then start looking at revisiting this entire case on an international level.
But I want to ask, in the meantime, while we're waiting up to that point, I still think it would be useful to have a sit down.
I just respectfully disagree with that.
But what about the conversation of, bringing Ken into the circle of the conversation, and presenting the ideas, and that way all people that have some measure of involvement with Ozone's case can have that type of conversation. And if anything, that may turn on some lights that we don't see right now.
Possibly, you're correct.
So with that said, I think the best move to do, at this point will be, the transfer of, contact out, communicate with Brother Ken, and pass along information or whatnot, and then take it from there. And that way, if there is some stones that need to be turned over, like what the sister Koti is hinting at, like immediate action, that maybe there's something, that could be done right now that we're not looking at, that we can explore as well. Wow, the things that can't be done.
And oranges. See, we're saying that he didn't get a fair trial. Mm-hmm. That's the argument. He didn't get a fair trial, and he's already been tried. That death penalty has been removed from that brother, and that's the most positive thing. So once the sentencing, we see what the sentencing looks like. Once we get through that stage, and we know that there is an option for this brother to get out at some point and sometime in his lifetime, then once we get through that hurdle, because you don't want to put gas on the fire, then you take it to the next level and you revisit whether or not he got a fair trial. We already know the narrative of the whole issue wasn't even framed correctly, because by Sister Cody's admission, she was there. There was a lot of things that could really help this brother left out. There was a lot of dynamics left out. So the question is, did he get a fair trial? Domestically, everybody say yeah. But when you put this in another jurisdiction to look at the entire picture, no, he did not get a fair trial.
But you're saying that to be able to do that has to wait until the conclusion of the sentencing. Oh,
yes.
Okay, there we go. That was the brother went off. So and then but because I'm the way I'm understanding it, it's sort of like the way you understand the difference between federal court and local state court or something like that, where one has a certain type of procedure and jurisprudence that the other one doesn't. And so you're basically saying that international court operates after the conclusion of something like this. Am I understanding that properly?
Mm-hmm. That's the best strategy that I would use.
Okay.
I
Now, I'm not an attorney.
I guarantee you,
I'm not an attorney.
those attorneys
So,
are not waiting.
an attorney might say,
till
might disagree
I
with me.
guarantee you,
the
those
legalities
attorneys
have
are
already
not
been stated.
waiting
They're not
till
waiting.
sentencing
They're not waiting
to start putting together Brother Ozone's appeal.
That's his attorney said any attorney that's
Yeah.
The
licensed
legalities
will
have
not
already
wait
been
till
stated.
sentencing, and
They're
vice
not waiting.
versa.
They're not
Any
waiting
civil suit
to
that
put
has
together
to
the
be
appeal that they're
that
going to
has to be
stay on that.
filed,
That's the
he can be
attorney,
starting the
attorney that's
paperwork
working
for it,
license
the
will not wait
research
till
for it,
sentencing.
can start
And
right
vice
now.
versa for any civil suit that
You don't
has
have
to
to
be
wait till
that has to be
sentencing because,
filed.
like I said, we
He
know
could be
he's going
started
to
the
be sentenced
paperwork
because it was a
for it,
verdict.
the research for it
We know that they're going to
can start
schedule a
right now.
sentencing hearing.
So
So
you don't have to wait to
I
sentencing
say,
because, like I said,
don't wait.
we know he will be
Start the
sentenced because it was a
necessary
verdict.
inquiries.
Yeah.
We know that
Start
they're
the
going to schedule
necessary
a
research
sentencing hearing.
so that when the
So
sentencing is passed
I
down,
say,
bam,
don't
we can
wait.
automatically submit.
Start the necessary
Right. And we
inquiries.
can put that paperwork
Start the
in
necessary
place right then
research
and there. Because
so that when the sentencing is passed down,
I put everything
bam,
on
we
it.
can
If those
automatically
same
submit.
attorneys is going to represent him in the
Right.
And
appeal
to be honest with
process,
you,
they're working on that appeal right now as we speak.
Because
Right.
I put everything on it. If those same attorneys is going to represent him in the appeal process, they're working on that appeal right now as we speak.
Well, what I'm wondering is, see, this is why I would like to actually have a communications with an international attorney of a sort to get a clear idea of how they operate, what they do, and their methods of some sort. Like what could they do realistically, reasonably in this scenario? Because I mean, it's, at some point, I agree with what you're saying that there are certain things where the ball should be able to get rolling right now. I can't say what because I don't have that type of insight, but I do feel like what you're saying, Sister Cody, that there's something that could be done, at least to bring about awareness of anything, to the matter, to people in the international community. Bring about awareness that, hey, this is going on. This is what's happened. This is what's been going on during these past, moments with the trial, with all of this. There has to be some measures that could be taken in the present tense.
Quick question, Sister Elena. You mentioned that all matters have to be exhausted in the domestic level before it become international. Is the appeal a part of exhausting that exhaustion? Like he has to go through the appeal, then if he doesn't like it, does that have to go through?
Can be.
Okay.
It can be. If there's ground for an appeal, it can be.
Okay, so here's the thing that I'm pondering.
And then there's exceptions to exhaustion of remedies as well.
Okay.
Right.
What would be those exceptions? Like example, I suppose. The reason why
I don't like to speak on Brother Ozone's case too much because I don't have the paperwork and I don't have the facts in front of me. So I can say, okay, yeah, we can just file this and that and not make anything worse than what it is.
Right.
So if I had the information in front of me, I can speak definitively. Yes, we can do this. Yes, let's go do this. Can't do it because I don't have all of the facts in front of me.
And I can agree with that old saying, you don't let the left hand know what the right hand is doing.
Exactly. that too, brother Quest, man. I'm not gonna sit up here and give all of the ancient Chinese secrets to everybody. Y'all don't operate like that.
Because then I was like, oh, we know what they're about to do next. Let's go ahead and preempt this somehow. Yeah, exactly. So I understand, but I think the pressure that Sister Cody is pushing for is what is that there's something in the immediate time that we could be doing to that would be signs of progress or signs in favor, and that's what I think we're kind of looking at now. It's like what in the immediate time. I mean, obviously, there's the donating to Othal.org, but what other activities, what other elements that's realistic on the ground level would help push this, more towards the goal in favor of Brother O. That's what I'm getting, at least, that's what I'm reading out of that part of the conversation. I do believe that, like I said, when I'm asking people locally and folks don't even know certain names, like if you mention, you'd be surprised. There's even some folks that don't even know who the Black Panthers are. Not too many, but you'd be surprised at how little and I don't want to say shallow, but uninformed some people are, even on a local situation. Like when you ask them certain questions, like who's this, who's that, and they can't really produce any sound answer. But they can tell you who's playing on Pandora right now. So I'm just trying to find ways to like where like one of the problems that I had when it came to trying to get people more aware of Ozone situation and another brother situation that we haven't mentioned in this conversation, but I want to mention it, and I'm talking about Brother GMJ. When it came to me, communicating with the objective of saying, hey, this is what's going on. Many people either they didn't know, and those that didn't know, I don't say they weren't concerned, but they weren't convinced that this was something they needed to get involved in. You understand what I'm saying?
Some about people will still call him an agent. Don't forget about that too.
So you had that. Well, some did. That's what I'm saying. Some didn't even know that. They didn't even know anything. It was like when you mention the name, who is this?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If I say, well, do you remember? Did you hear anything about Stone Mountain? Did you hear anything about this, that, and the other? And they're like, I never heard about that. I said, you didn't hear about Stone Mountain? It was on the news. We got brother Major TV is on the panel. Let's welcome the brother in. Okay. Peace and blessings, dear brother. Welcome. I think are you able to hear us pretty good? We might have to restart your camera because I think it's frozen.
I can hear you. I don't think you hear me though.
Yeah, I can hear you now. I just heard you now. So anyway, that's all I'm trying to say is that when it comes to like the propagation, the communicating with people locally, that's the challenge that I find is that many people they're not as informed as many of us might think people should be. You understand? You're better off saying the name Martin Luther King than even Khalid Muhammad to some people. I mean, you'd be surprised at and I'm in an area where there are a significant number of people who are aware they're hip, but there's like what do you call? I think you call it a generation gap. Like some of the elders, they know Khalid Muhammad, they know the Black Panthers, they know some of the things that were going on. But then there's another group that they're limited. They may know like a few people who were in the military or something like that. But when we're talking about like who is Ozone or who is just some of the names that are out there right now that we've become aware of, it's like hit and miss when it comes to who's informed without you telling them, without you saying something to them about it. I have to actually show them, look at this video or check this out. And then again, like I said, the one of the challenges that I would encounter is them seeing it as relevant. You understand? Seeing it as, being convinced that, hey, I should, be involved in this. I should support. Is that making sense to anybody? Or am I just
I mean, I totally
alone in
understand.
my experience?
I totally agree with you, man, but there's just a big disconnect we try and do in the community. You have people out here working very hard. We don't have time to do half we do as for the studying, the reading, and the research, right? And they're looking for direction, but there's a big disconnect at the top. Even when I got involved, not knowing what I was doing, just wanted to see about the moon with Jim J and them. In fact, the Black Militia and the statement they made a big statement. But when I got involved, I was same civilians, same melanated people, just watching, and I was well informed. But once I got in the thick of it, it's freaking messy. It's extremely messy. It's sloppy, and what's so sad, the fact that the egos are so big in our community. It's like it's not too much about resolving the problem. It's who first, who did this first, well, what direction we should go, as opposed to really putting together with Sister Landon and talking about it. A few people, because there's several people have pushing the ideas, right? But it's just hard to get everybody in the same room. When I had an interview with Acquittal asked me, how can we come together, be one nation, what have you? I said, you have well-established organizations out here. It ain't one person. The one person on each group form some kind of committee, parliament, government, or what have you, to be diverse of people, because each one of these groups do have people following them to try to get some kind of structure going, because we lack a lot of structure. And I don't think one organization got all the answers. They may have a blueprint, but they don't have all the answers. They need the community involved. And these are either established grassroots organizations, organizations that have a real voice in the community, because small groups are not going to get that far. With the community looking and they're saying what they're doing to our leaders, they're not going to take the chances that our leaders took. So it's going to take a community effort with people that's already doing the work and people that won't do the work, and people want to listen and talk, and we fail to do that.
Well, that brings me,
Brother Major.
Go ahead.
May I speak?
Yeah,
Brother
go ahead.
Major, you've touched on several things. Lack of information, ego, lack of capacity, and lack of organization. But the scariest thing to me is the lack of education. We are so misinformed about our political history, our legal history, and we're misinformed about our rights, and especially our human rights. So for me, I stay in my lane. I'm an educator. I was an educator by profession, and I like to teach. I like to inform. That's what I stay in my lane doing. Once we have informed the masses and build that capacity that we need, it'll be nation time then. But right now, we're in a genocidal condition, and it'll be our own that take us out. It'll be our own that serve us to the powers that be on a platter. Our heads will be on the platter. So for me, what I do, I stay in my lane, because I know once you throw that first lick and you throw that first punch at that bully, you got to have the manpower and the capacity to keep throwing punches. My little old organization, I ain't got it. So I do what I do with what resources I have from my organization. My traveling I do on my dime. I have my conferences, it's on my dime. Whatever I put myself in, if I get involved with someone's issue or whatever, it's on my dime. So we have to build a capacity. We have to inform the masses. So when we do get ready to land that first lick, we can keep punching. And with that, I yield the floor.
And that brings this up to me, and I'm basing this off of things that I've experienced locally when it comes to pushing promoting and things of that nature. Is then on the one I've mentioned about people, how people are informed or not informed. On the other aspect is that the organizations are either they're concerned enough, or this is something that they could fit in their schedule, or sometimes I deal with some. I've met some organizations where they were more commercialized. You understand? They wouldn't do anything unless there was almost like a how can I put it? It was just I just felt they were very commercialized, very just looking for the flashy elements of quote unquote Black Power, right? And then there was some that either they didn't have enough resource, they didn't have enough this, that, or the other, and like me, communicating or talking on their mic, it was like just talking to a handful of people, but somehow, I mean, I think the challenge keeps on coming to the point of when we keep talking about we all got to come together, we all got to bring certain people together, and the how to do that part ends up being the challenge.
Of course, man, the problem is people want to see results.
Yeah.
You got Dr. Ali said some great shit. Black conscious movement, the brothers in the movement just want to talk about the problem, but not trying to invest in build communities. That's the problem. We talk too much. We're not investing. People are not gonna get behind none of these platforms. I don't blame them if they're not producing good works. We just talk too much. We're not really investing in our community like we should. And those who are investing in our community, they don't get the recognition because they're not talking the way we talk. Yeah. But I feel like we gotta be strategic the way we talk, the way we move, what have you. We just too vocal without nobody really listening to us, because for one, you know how YouTube and these Congress always got their platform set up, algorithm and whatnot. It ain't like it used to be. They want you to pay to get views and this, that, and other. But people want to see results. Right. If that's why
this is ground level.
Very much. That's why Jim J got so much attention. That's why I go a little attention when I went out there traveling, what have you. People want to see results. And I just feel like that's the big connect. We've been talking for so long, and people looking at us, we've been hearing that already. What's next?
And that's what I mentioned to that extent earlier, where like I said, I believe that the old situation is a very heavy situation, because there's so many different elements that this is representing when it comes to the personal experience, the legal experience of a brother, or what he's going through. That this is a bigger situation, growing into a bigger situation than I think people are willing to understand. But people that you would think would be involved, or at least show some type of even distant support, or maybe, I don't know, anonymous support or something, you don't see them moving a muscle. But they've got these big platforms. They have no problem getting resources to help fund whatever they got going on. But when it comes to real problems, I'm just having a hard time seeing people, doing other than the flashy, what I want to call punchline talks. You understand? And then the people that I do see doing real stuff, real things, is like either they're hard to contact or hard to reach, or they're saying exactly what you're saying, and even what the sister is saying, people are just staying in their own lane.
I mean, but you got to realize, I'm gonna say this. I get what you're saying, but there's so much going on in our community. It's really hard to really call them out on it, right? In my opinion, right? Because there's things that some of these brothers talking to my sisters, there's some real stuff going on in our community. And I just feel like a lot of people really didn't connect to what was going on with Jim J. Or the people wasn't, the black community wasn't, we thought that it wasn't as big as people made it seem. You know what I'm saying? They had parts of the community behind them, even around the world, but it wasn't like a predominant large among the black people about what he did and what have you. I'm talking about Jim I just feel like that's the disconnect right there. We don't really know
Mm-hmm.
what to get behind. Cause believe it or not, those two brothers are only a small few of many out
Right,
here
right.
political prisoners and going through some every freaking day that we don't talk about.
Yeah, I
You
agree.
know, even the black media don't even know how. I'm talking about the small ones like you and I don't even know how to come together and just and disseminate all this information.
yeah,
You know, and so some of us plan for funerals, and like you
organized.
say,
Right.
commercializing and what have you. But it's a lot, bro. So it's easy to call people out, but there's a lot going on. Then if a person don't know if it's sincere or not, or if it's 100, they're gonna hold back even more so because they seem they did our leaders. So I just feel like it's just a fine line, and I feel like we need to just try to close that void and just start building. And
I
that's
mean,
been
this
a
was a
problem.
death
It's been hard
penalty
to
case
build.
right here. If anything could ever be more serious and pressing, it would be, a death penalty case that's stemmed from, systemic racist activities. That should have been a calling card for pretty much every body that's in the United States, from sea to shining sea. I mean, a death penalty. Okay, how can I put it? Let's say it was just some type of somebody, maybe they stole something or accused with a fake dollar bill or something. This is a death penalty case, a case where a person has shot a cop, and the question is whether or not it was self-defense or not. If ever there was a large enough cause, you understand, to stand up for, it would have been now. I just what I believe is I think that many of us are numbed, asleep, that we don't know how to respond to anything
I mean, we
because
are socially dumb because it's like we are basically like helpless. That's why people socially numb. When you're saying black people getting killed and locked up on a large rate like that, you see poverty, you see homelessness, and it's like black people can't even fix their own problems. Not only asking for reparations and stuff. Yeah, it is socially numb.
but
Yeah, it is socially numb.
even a mouse will bite back as a last action. Even a mouse will try to attack you as an instinctive action against danger. So what I'm saying is there's so many red flag elements happening to us more and more in this day and time, especially in the age of social media, and we're responding to it like I'm saying we, because I'm speaking as the collective. We're not responding to the things happening to us on the basis of like just what they call basic instinct. We're responding to like this is like this was an illusion or something.
So Ozone reached out to me, and I talked to him in private the first time, and he reached out to me with his concern about my coverage of Grandmaster Jay. Right now, he wasn't too pleased about my coverage about Grandmaster Jay at all, But over time, he would actually see exactly what I was talking about, and he would disconnect himself from Grandmaster Jay. One of the problems that I had with the disconnect, and we were still talking, still communicating. One of the problems that I had with the disconnect, that he ultimately would reconnect himself with a Crystal Muhammad. Ultimately, he would go to Tulsa, et cetera, et cetera. And in private, I would tell him that, brother, these are the same people. There is not one better than the other. There is not leaving Grandmaster Jay and joining Malik Zulu Shabazz. There is no leaving Malik and joining Crystal. And one thing, because of his big heart, he always would talk about unity. Back then, that's all he was talking about. We need to come together, and you need to be the media to help bring us together. And I say, brother, I cannot endorse these frauds. I've done the research. They're frauds. They're actors. I say, brother, you're young. You're 27. You know what I'm saying? At that time, I was 40 something. I said, brother, you're young. You're 27. I said, there's no way that you'll be able to see what I see. I'm telling you that you're jumping from one to the other to the other. He's like, well, we just need to come together. We just need to come together. I say, true, but we don't need to come with those who are the opposition. And you have to be able to see who's the opposition. And that was one of the last talks that I had on the podcast, which I'm not going to show the whole podcast. But nevertheless, not too long after that would Ozone be accused of defending himself against the police, and they charge him with first-degree murder. Now, one of the things that I'm going to break down tonight that I want people to understand is that most people that's on the internet right now that's giving their take on these charges, on the verdict, they don't even have a clue what's it like to be up against people judging you for petty theft, more or less murder of a police. Most of these people that's making these crazy videos talking about Ozone, they should have just let him walk, or Ozone is not guilty, or Ozone is guilty, or either or. Many of them don't have any experience with the judicial system. I do have a little bit experience with it, and let me tell you, my heart was pacing kind of slowly as this was happening. Because listen, at the end of the day, you're depending on people that don't know you, that only going to know you for the hours that you're in front of them. They don't know your intentions. They don't know your heart. They don't know anything specifically about you besides what they're given. And they are going to make a decision on your life, whether it be jail or whether it be death. In this situation, the ultimate penalty was death. And so all of these people, at first I started streaming it. Then I was like, nah, everybody on it. I'm like, I'm just going to let it go. I'm just going to let it go. You know what I'm saying? And with that being said, I just let it go. But now what I want to do, I want to break down we're going to start from the top. You know, let's just start from the top. First of all, we got to look at the timeline, and we're going to break it down, and then we're going to go all the way through. So first, let me explain this flyer. I'm all over the place for a second, but let me explain this flyer real quick. You know what I'm saying? Let me explain the flyer. So I have Malik Zulu Shabazz. I have Sisters from the Underground, which I'm not going to say much about her. I have Nick Bezel. I have Grandmaster J. I have Crystal Muhammad. And I have the guy OC the Great. Let me start off with OC the Great. The reason why that I have OC the Great on the platform, on the flyer, is very simple. Because OC the Great has always tried to be the media wing to promote propaganda. It didn't matter to him whether Grandmaster J, was finagling the people, hustling the people. Even when he knew Grandmaster J was a fraud, he continued to push Grandmaster J's message and videos. That's a clear indication that he is on a mission that's beyond the regular I am influenced by somebody. It's more than that. You know what I mean? That's one of the main signs, because when you find out someone is a fraud, then there's no way that you continue to endorse them. You know what I'm saying? There's no way that you continue to endorse, but he continued to endorse them. And not only that, he would have Malik Zulu Shabazz on the show 1 minute, and then the next he would have Crystal Muhammad, and he would endorse both of them, and both of them are diametrically opposed to each other, and both of them ain't saying nothing anyway. So that's why I got him on there, and he continues even to this hour. He continues to push. You hear what I say? He continues to push misinformation and destructive inspiration. He's doing it right at this hour. Right at this hour. You understand what I'm saying? And that should be a problem for everybody. But now, let's start from the top. Yeah, this guy here, he's pushing misinformation and misinspiration right now. He's putting fake revolutionaries on his platform. He's not asking any critical questions. Look, he had a guy on there today. Who is this guy? Now, you got to remember, family, the way that the plot thickens is that one of the most visible groups of the conscious or the awakening communities is the Hebrew Israelites. And all of these people that come with the rhetoric, the tough guy talk, they all fake Hebrew Israelites. And what I mean by fake Israelites, nobody that I know, that whether it's Tazoriak, whether it's Lex, whether it's, the people that I know, I never see them endorsing these people. I never see them endorsing these people. These people just come out of the blue. They just come out of the blue and they give the Israelites a bad name. They give the Israelites a bad name. But they just come out the blue and they got Lions of Judah. Remember, Grandmaster Jay did the same thing. He was talking about Israel but wearing an unk. And so you could tell that these people are sent. But now, let's get to it. Let's start off with this. Number one, what we got to look for is, let's start with it. We're going to break it all the way down tonight. So, a jury found Ozone, Othal Wallace, guilty of manslaughter, the lesser charge in the 2021 shooting death of Daytona Beach, Florida police officer Jason Raynor. The verdict was ready shortly before 11:30 a.m. Following the verdict, Wallace was immediately handed.
Anybody in the chat watching right now, I am doing simultaneous things right now. I'm listening into Sojourn in Your Life, and I'm listening into Morris Raw TV. Now, what Morris Raw TV is, what he's doing right now is not helpful. I went in the chat and I asked, have any of you donated? I'm still waiting on a response to that. They're bashing OC the Great, but OC the Great was very instrumental in raising funds for Othal. And the funds that he did raise on several different occasions helped pay for his legal defense. So this is the stuff that we have to stop. We have to stop, and I'm calling out Morris Raw TV. Why are you continually bashing this brother when he helped with the legal funds? We got to put our personal differences aside and learn how to say, hey, yeah, I really don't like you, but for this cause, I'm going to be down for this cause. It ain't got nothing to do with you, but it's about this man. It's not over. So why we doing this point the finger blame game? None of these individuals that Morris Raw TV is talking about right now was in that parking lot that night when that cop assaulted Ozone. So why is that even a conversation? So I'm going to leave his conversation and I'm going to go back to Sojourn in Your Life. He has several people on the panel. Let's see what they're talking about.
to our people
But
in the mouth.
you got sisters coming from Texas, you got coming from Atlanta, you know, whatever, right? That takes some doing, you know, out of their own pocket. So that I gave respect because they were doing things. There was action happening. You understand? That lets me know, like, man, if push came to shove, these are the solid right here. But it's hard to identify that because we're talking about this the other brother who put boots on the ground, and I still salute the brother to this day. But I just watched how the sabotage went on and how the bashing went on all across social media by folks who never even met anybody or anything, right or wrong, whether they were telling the truth or not. It was just a lot of forest fire going on from folks who were doing it for sheer entertainment, for ratings, for likes. And I know they were doing it because I would listen to the stuff they're saying and see how it doesn't match up with the reality on ground. I'm like, these people are bogus, but the audience, either they're there for the entertainment or they're just not aware.
See, Brother Quest, may I say something?
Yeah.
You see, social media should be used like a tool. Now, I can take my hammer and I can build the best house, the best tree house. It's a tool. But I can also use that hammer as the most ruthless weapon money can buy.
Yeah.
We have to use discernment when we are speaking of our intentions and organizing, trying to do different things and having certain conversations. Certain things shouldn't be privy to social media. You can't disclose everything to certain people in your circles. I don't trust anybody. That's the way I move. Another thing I realized too in this movement, and I've been in it since the early 2000s, 2012. I didn't take a vow of poverty, and I'm not on a suicide mission. Therefore, you use discernment with how you're moving. We can't win this battle by ourselves. We have to build capacity. One or two people, that's suicide. We have to get as many of our people involved by good education, letting them see with going the direction that we propose of autonomy, self-determination, fighting for our rights, being treated as equal human beings, footing with the other people of the world, nations, and of this particular politicity that we're in. We can't put all of our intentions and all of our aspirations out in view for all to see. That's why we keep getting sabotaged. We have enemies that walk amongst us. I've been sitting in certain places, in high places, amongst people who smile in the face and say, "Oh, I want this too." But they'll be the biggest sellouts, putting on the biggest fronts. I've seen it. So social media is a tool. You can't take anything or anybody seriously on it. You have to use discernment.
So you definitely have to, when dealing with your people, that is true. But at the same time, when we are rallying for a good cause, and you know it is a cause, but because you have this fear, you just not. Fear is what's going to be our major obstacle. You cannot be afraid to wade through the water. You cannot be afraid. Sometimes you have to be uncomfortable in your space. Telling our people that no, it's not the time to move on certain things. We got to wait until they act. It's ludicrous. Telling our people now is not the time to start putting together a plan of action is ludicrous. When things need to come about for the greater good, it's going to take a collective effort. And so sometimes you got to get out of your lane to learn new things, at the same time educate about what your lane is. The separation we have going on within our community is what's hurting us. The separation that happened from 2020 to now within our community in the so-called movement caused great harm, and we're still trying to pay for our brother's legal defense as a result of that. I just question Morris World TV people. Have you donated? So now I'm about to go back up in this chat. And I'm just going to ask, because that's the issue at hand. Who's willing to donate tonight?
And everything and all of our info.
An attack on my family structure as we speak. You understand? And I've come to learn quick that ultimately I end up having my own self to rely on, to help me through, because most people aren't going to step up for you. You understand? Most people aren't going to step up for you. How can we use this tool?
Can I say something?
Yeah. Your voice.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
So, my question to the folks over there on Morris Road. So, my question to the folks over there on Morris Road.
I hear a lot of echoing going on.
I'm getting hold on 1 second, y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah, she got to turn the YouTube off.
I hear a lot of echoing going on.
Hold on 1 second, y'all.
Yeah, she got to turn the YouTube off.
That's that raw talk. That's that raw communication that I like.
And she's absolutely right. To answer that question, yes, I have myself.
You already know a brother goes in, so I'm one of those practice what you preach type folks.
Yeah, I don't flash it, but
Right.
I definitely use. I definitely donate, but I don't flash it for the audience of members to get any type of recognition for anything.
Right. Because personally, I believe like my efforts when you do a righteous deed that like I said earlier, right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing. And then it just, I just go on like that. I do what I need to do, keep it moving. But over here, what I can say, especially from the other day, from the deliberation day, that the brothers and sisters that was in the chat, I started seeing their names pop up on the Othal.
So I'm trying to get this tab back together. I want to go over to OC the Great channel now and see what he's talking about. He got Crystal Muhammad on, I do believe. But let's I had to mute myself on my channel in order to talk on that panel. But basically what I was saying is that I'm done talking. The brother needs funds. We could talk till we blew it in the face, but I'm like, put your money where your mouth is. That's point blank and period. If you haven't donated, make plans to donate. And I salute all that have donated. But the point of the fact is, we still need to pay these attorneys for the work they have done and for the work they may do in the appeals process. We still need to pay an international lawyer if we have a case of human rights, as Sister Elena stated. We still need the funds for that to go forward. So let's talk about what kind of fundraisers we gonna do to get those funds. I don't want to hear if we woulda, coulda, shoulda. I just don't understand how we even talking on these matters and this way right now after we witnessed what they tried to do, a 21st century style lynching in the courtroom, and we still talking about why we can't come together. We have a point of order. The point of order is that we need to raise some funds. That's the point. Every time we start talking about money, people get real funny. Real funny. It's hilarious. It's just hilarious. Share my screen.
From the gate. But had he not had a team fighting for him, imagine if we didn't raise the $100,000 and he had them public pretenders, had to rely on public tenders. The only reason why he had the team that he had is because the people, Black people from around the country, pulled our resources together and raised the funds to get him a legal representation, at least have a fighting chance. Now, same beautiful Black people, we got to come back together
to work on the resources to get a stronger appeal filed. I see that we have, I don't know, I can't really see the chat. I'm not sure how I should be doing that. Or even I should be, I probably shouldn't even, I'm glad I'm not, so I won't get distracted. I think that's a major takeaway. I reiterate that. This whole system is designed to go against us. Period. Even if you deal with the election situation. I say this all the time. If you look at the numbers where it goes to the Congress, the Senate, I'm just gonna use a round number because these numbers are not the same, but for the most part, you got about 400 of these representatives, and then you're gonna have about maybe 60 of us, representing the blacks. The numbers are always stacked against us in this electoral system. So when it comes to every system, the numbers are stacked against you. The court, which the district attorneys, who have the county budgets at their disposal, who are not going in to try to, find you innocent. They're using everything that they can, playing dirty, to find you guilty. And let's not forget, this is all about chattel slavery. They wanted to lynch our brother by state-sanctioned lynching had he gotten the death penalty, but he didn't. Now, brothers and sisters, I think, a committee, needs to be put in place where different people are given different assignments. I'm having a solo conversation here. What's going on here? I do want to, but when I'm saying a committee, it needs to be different individuals that are assigned to helping get the word out, fundraising, doing research. Because we do need to find out. It was told to us that that town that he was moved to, Clay County, was the hometown of Raynor. We need fact finders to find that out. We need people to go in there. When I'm talking about a committee, other people besides the ones, the day ones that we mentioned, they can get in there and do the research. We need somebody to find out for us what were the 13 excessive charges filed against Raynor. What did he do? And let's find those victims. And once we gather this information, we'll be able to get it to his attorneys to help with the appeal.
Yeah.
Without trying to compromise. Go ahead.
No, I thought that was going to be brought up in court. I thought the attorneys was going to bring up Raynor's background, but just knowing that judge, I think it was going to be overruled anyway. How he was acting. You know what I'm saying? It seemed like everybody. It's just interesting what it seemed like the state, because they represented the state. You know what I mean? Was against Ozone. They really wanted to, like you say, lynch Ozone. And it's similar to the past, because even when we see those gruesome pictures of them lynching black people in the past, all of that was lawful.
Right.
Like all of that, we don't really think about, that was lawful. They didn't just do that. They didn't just do something criminal. All of that was lawful. They executed anybody that they really wanted. They found something wrong, and they made up something like, such and such whistled at a white woman, or such and such did this to this person or looked at somebody wrong.
Now look at what this goofy ass. Can y'all see this?
Nah, hold on.
Now Tahawka Bay is doing the video tomorrow, hating on. He got me on the picture, you on the picture, and Ozone. Othal Wallace was facing a death penalty. If found guilty, the real talk starts. Ozone situation and verdict. This bitch never said one thing in support of Ozone.
And we still got people that support him.
Yeah, never said one thing in support of Ozone. Never did one broadcast. He's so busy stalking Tariq Nasheed. 2 weeks this trial went on. You didn't hear a peep no hair from Tahawka Bay. that this coon ass nigga, excuse my, like this goofball operative of the state, operative of the federal government, whatever he is, operative of the state, has the nerve enough to have something to say.
It's a term that you use. So we got COINTELPRO and what you use, COINTELPRO or something?
COINTELPRO. He's COINTELPRO.
I don't even think he's getting paid by the people. So he's doing it all on his own.
He is. We would be foolish not to think that he's not. He uses his entire life.
I feel like he's doing it all on his own.
He spends his entire. I feel like he could be an informant. I feel like he has all of the makings of an informant. Remember, he ratted on his homeboys way back in the day when they was robbing pizza people. You know what I'm saying?
This
man got a rap sheet longer than the China Wall.
That's a whole nother conversation.
You know, this man just showed up on the scene in the last couple of years. Before that, he spent his whole life terrorizing his community. And the only thing he does is spend time talking about people who are on the front line. You know what I'm saying? A distraction. Not saying one thing in support of Brother Ozone. So this coon, you know, but anyway, moving forward.
That's a whole nother conversation. Just the people that we allow to be a part of a community, you know. So we got people that's within our organizations. They got a long rap sheet, and it's not like it's a rap sheet that's commendable that we can understand. Like, for example, you know, Ozone will have some type of, you know, rap sheet, but it's understandable. But these other rap sheets, when it comes to harming women, beating women and touching children and stuff like that, we shouldn't even be watching those type of people, first off. And the second thing, we definitely shouldn't allow them into the community.
Right.
They should get no attention instead. I don't know. Our people would be going for anything, any type of personality. Going there.
A lot of it goes down to using intelligence and then using common sense and having a.
So it's coming up on 2 hours, and I've had a long trip back, and I just need to unwind. But I was in your life. Those funds to come in, so if when that decision is made, the lawyers will feel more inclined to do it. And we also need to just continue to donate to Othal, because next time it may be you. Look how long it took our brother Ozone to raise gone years. The point is, it's not about arguing about your point, trying to get your point across, what we should have, could have done, or what we need to do, or who was wrong and who was right way back then. It's about getting those funds in that account so that the lawyers can be paid to do what they know how to do. And with that, I'm gonna go ahead and close out, because sometimes I just can't with my people. It's not that difficult to understand what we need to do. It's just not. But we want to make it difficult. Put where your mouth is, and let the people who are trained to do what they do what they do. If you know how to do it, step up and do it. Don't wait. There's no need to wait. And thank you for watching. Tell more.